So a couple of videos ago, we talked about 8 NHL players who have been surprising everybody to start this season. Now let's shift our focus to some players who have been disappointing so far in the 2020-21 season. Now originally I was going to do the most disappointing player from all 31 NHL teams so far, but for a lot of teams I just couldn't really pick a player, so in this video we're going to talk about 10 players specifically instead of one from every team. And of course these are players that have been disappointing relative to the expectations that I had for them heading into the season. So if there are some players that we do not talk about in this video that have disappointed you so far, be sure to let me know down below in the comment section. As always, before we begin, be sure to go follow my social medias like Instagram and Twitter. Links to those will be down below in the description. And most importantly, if this is your first time on the channel and you want to see more NHL content just like this, be sure to hit that subscribe button, and now let's begin. Starting off the video, number 1, we have Jeff Skinner of the Buffalo Sabres, and I think at this point, his contract has to be the worst in the entire league when you consider the amount he's getting paid and what type of production he's giving the Sabres. Jeff Skinner is going to be making $9 million a season through the 2026-27 season. He makes more than players like Pastrnak, McKinnon, Draisaitl, and in 10 games this season, Jeff Skinner has a whopping 1 assist. He hasn't scored a goal yet. Now, last season was pretty disappointing for Jeff Skinner as well. He finished with 14 goals and 23 points in 59 games in the first year of his big contract, but that season was kind of an outlier. That was by far the worst season production-wise Jeff Skinner has put forth in his NHL career, and the hope for a lot of people heading into this season was that he would bounce back. Maybe not get back to being that 40 goal scorer that he was in the 2018-19 season, but at least be better. Obviously, that hasn't been the case. Jeff Skinner has actually been worse this season. I really didn't expect that. This really is worst case scenario for the Buffalo Sabres. He has to be better. I refuse to believe that Jeff Skinner just got paid and stopped trying and stopped caring. This is a guy who should at the very least be giving you 15 goals a season. I don't know what's going on with him. Moving along now, number 2, we have Alexis Lafreniere of the New York Rangers. Now, first things first, he is not a bust. We cannot say that about him yet. That's not fair. But I do think it is fair to have him in a video like this because, I mean, his rookie season so far has definitely been disappointing, especially when you consider all the hype he was getting heading into the season and pretty much all the hype he's been getting since he was 16 years old. So far, through the Rangers' first 11 games, Lafreniere has 1 goal. It was an overtime winner. That has been his only point of the season up until now. He's a -4. His advanced analytics haven't been good. The season Lafreniere is having is really similar to the season that Capo Caco had last year for the New York Rangers. Now, I will say this in Lafreniere's defense. Coming into the NHL this season as a teenage rookie is not the same as coming into the NHL as a teenage rookie in pretty much any other season. There were shorter training camps this year, no preseason games at all. That definitely makes things harder for rookies. It doesn't make things any easier, that's for sure. Now, my expectations to begin with weren't extremely high for Lafreniere heading into the season. When it comes to rookies and prospects coming into the NHL, I like to keep my expectations relatively low because you just never know what to expect. However, I definitely did expect a lot more from him than what he has done so far. I do think he's going to be fine. I mean, he's only 11 games into his NHL career, but it has been a pretty rough start, and honestly, it's been a pretty rough season for the Rangers in general. We're going to talk about another Rangers player a little bit later on in the video. Next up, at number 3, we have ERIK, defenseman for the San Jose Sharks. I'm really starting to worry about ERIK Karlsson. Like, is this just what he is now? Are we ever going to see him get back to form and get back to being the player we saw him be in Ottawa for so many years? I'm starting to think that we may never see that ERIK Karlsson again, and I had really high hopes for him heading into this season, especially when you consider how much time off he had to just get 100% healthy. With the Sharks not being a part of the 2020 play-ins and playoffs, it was what, like almost a 10-month layoff for them? I really thought we were going to see a rejuvenated ERIK Karlsson get back to being one of the best defensemen in the league, but so far that has not happened whatsoever. Through the Sharks' first 10 games of the season, Karlsson has just 3 points. He hasn't been good defensively. This is concerning for sure, especially when you consider the fact that ERIK Karlsson is now 30 years old and is making $11.5 million a season through the 2026-27 season. I know how I said earlier in the video Jeff Skinner's contract has to be the worst in the NHL right now. You can probably throw ERIK Karlsson's into that conversation as well, and that really sucks. Growing up, ERIK Karlsson was one of my absolute favorite players to watch in the entire league. I'm really hoping he bounces back, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see at this point. Moving along now to number 4, we have the first of 2 goaltenders we're going to talk about in today's video, TRISTAN JARRY of the Pittsburgh Penguins. As of right now, the Pittsburgh Penguins have a record of 5-5-1 and sit 5th place in the East Division. That's really not bad considering the fact that they have gotten awful goaltending so far this season. TRISTAN JARRY is 2-4-1 with an .857 save percentage, a 3.95 goals against, and a goals saved above expected at -8.30. which is the worst in the league. If the Pittsburgh Penguins want to make the playoffs this season, especially in a very difficult East Division, TRISTAN JARRY has to be better, or Casey DeSmith has to step up and take over as the #1 goaltender on this team, but even he hasn't been much of a world beater this season. There is a silver lining, I guess, for the Pittsburgh Penguins, and that is the fact that Matt Murray in Ottawa has also been pretty bad so far this season, so it's not like we can say the Penguins made the wrong decision deciding to keep JARRY over Matt Murray. Continuing on now, at number 5, we have Seth Jones, defenseman for the Columbus Blue Jackets. Last night, after the whole Tortorella benching of Laine ordeal, I made a tweet saying, why hasn't Torts benched Seth Jones, because Seth Jones has sucked this season. That tweet was me kind of half joking, half not joking, because on one hand, I don't expect John Tortorella to ever bench Seth Jones, but on the other hand, it's true, Seth Jones really hasn't been good this season. Offensively, if you look at his points per game, if he finished the season at this rate, that would be the lowest it's been in a very long time. He's a -9. His Corsi, Fenwick, both career lows by far. Seth Jones is a guy who I expect year in and year out to be, at least a top 20 defenseman in the league. He's been an all-star in each of the past 4 seasons. He's gotten Norris Trophy votes in each of the past 4 seasons. Seth Jones really has to step it up, especially now with Zach Werenski being on the IR. He's going to miss a couple of weeks. That's going to be even more of the workload on Seth Jones' shoulders. Now, last night against the Carolina Hurricanes, Seth Jones played arguably his best game of the season, so that's a really good sign. Hopefully he can build off of that. At number 6, we have RAKELL of the Anaheim Ducks. This season, Anaheim as a team has really struggled to find offense. It's actually pretty impressive that they currently sit 5th in the West Division with a 5-5-3 record when you consider how bad they've been offensively. I said this in one of my recent videos, but Carter Rowney is tied for the Anaheim Ducks team lead in points with 6. That just can't happen. In terms of goals for per game, the Ducks are dead last in the league at 1.85. That's worse than Detroit, Ottawa. They gotta find some more offense, so I'm calling out RAKELL in this video. I think he's been extremely disappointing so far this season. He's got 1 goal in 13 games, 4 total points. This is a guy who we know can score goals. He had back-to-back 30-goal seasons in 2016-17 and 2017-18. The past 2 seasons, he scored 15 or more goals and put up 40 or more points. He needs to provide this team with some more offense, especially when you look at his ice time. In terms of forwards, he plays the most out of anybody on the Ducks. Even if the Ducks could just get their offense to like a mediocre level, they would put themselves in a pretty good position to make the playoffs. Number 7, now we have EVGENY DADONOV of the Ottawa Senators. Ottawa's big free agency signing from the 2020 offseason. Dadonov is a guy who scored 25 or more goals in each of the past 3 NHL seasons with the Florida Panthers, but so far this season with the Senators, he's been kind of a dud, really struggling to find offense, only 2 goals and 4 total points in 13 games. Now yes, the Ottawa Senators are not a very good team. We all knew that we would probably see a bit of a drop in production from Dadonov compared to what he's been doing over the past 3 seasons, but still you want more out of him than what he's done so far, especially considering the Senators are going to be paying Dadonov $5 million a season through the 2022-23 season. He's a guy who you would ideally want to be, up around the team lead in points for the Ottawa Senators, but as of right now there's actually 10 players on the Senators who have more points than Dadonov does, so I definitely think he's been pretty disappointing so far this season, again especially when you consider the fact that he was kind of Ottawa's big free agency signing. Next up at number 8, the second and final goaltender of the video, Carter Hart of the Philadelphia Flyers. Remember at the start of the video when I said these are players who have been disappointing relative to the expectations that I had for them heading into the season? Well, in my bold predictions video for the 2020-21 season, I actually predicted Carter Hart to win the Vezina Trophy, so you can bet I've been pretty disappointed with his play so far. His record is fine, 5-2-2, but the Flyers are a really good team, so you'd expect Carter Hart to have a solid record. His individual numbers numbers though, not so solid. He's got a goals against average of 3.49, a save percentage of 897, and a goals saved above expected of negative 2.14. Just for reference, last season it was a 4.46, so those aren't exactly Vezina Trophy numbers from Carter Hart. They're actually well below league average. Now, I don't really think anyone should be too concerned with Carter Hart's start to the season. I think he's going to be fine, but considering the fact that he was my Vezina Trophy pick heading into the season, I have been pretty disappointed with his play up until this point. Number 9, the second New York Ranger of the video, MIKA ZIBANEJAD. I'm sure all of you expected him to be in here. I think we all knew that what MIKA ZIBANEJAD did last season, leading the NHL in goals per game with 41 in 57 games, wasn't going to be sustainable. But I don't really think anyone expected him to have this much of a drop off. Through the Rangers' first 11 games, ZIBANEJAD only has 1 goal. He's got a shooting percentage of 2.9 compared to 19.7 last season. Now, one of the reasons why I think ZIBANEJAD is struggling to score a little bit is because the Rangers' power play isn't doing very well. Last season, 15 of ZIBANEJAD's goals came on the power play. I think they were top 10 in terms of power play percentage, and this season I think the Rangers are towards the bottom of the league in terms of power play percentage so far. Now, the same as how last season's ridiculous goals per game probably wasn't sustainable for ZIBANEJAD, his 2.9 shooting percentage from this season isn't sustainable either. That's gonna go up. He's gonna start to score more goals. I'm sure the Rangers would like him to start heating up sooner rather than later, because I think in order for the Rangers to turn their season around, ZIBANEJAD really has to get going. And now finally, the 10th and final player we're going to talk about in today's video, Jake Virtanen of the Vancouver Canucks. I'm probably gonna make a dedicated video to the Vancouver Canucks over the next couple of days. Man, they're having a rough season. Pretty much everything that could possibly go wrong has gone wrong. We're just gonna focus on Virtanen right now though. Last season, he had a career year, 18 goals, 36 points in 69 games. Had the season not got cut short, he would have scored 20 goals. There were a lot of rumors over the offseason that Virtanen could potentially get traded. That didn't happen. They decided to re-sign Virtanen a 2-year deal at a cap of $2.55 million, and so far this season, in 12 games, Jake Virtanen has 1 goal. That is his only point. That really stings, especially when you consider how good Toffoli's doing in Montreal, and now there are more rumors that the Canucks are shopping Jake Virtanen again. I can't imagine his trade value is really high right now. They probably wish they would have traded him in the offseason. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out. Maybe we see some type of Sam Bennett for Jake Virtanen swap or something like that. But that is going to do it for today's video. I really hope you guys did enjoy. Like I said at the start of the video, if there are some players that have really disappointed you so far this season that we did not talk about in today's video, be sure to let me know down below in the comment section. And of course, if you guys did enjoy today's video, please be sure to leave it a like. That is the best way to show your support. And most importantly, if you guys enjoyed today's video and you want to see more NHL content just like this, be sure to hit that subscribe button, and I will talk to you all in the next video.